Hey there, welcome to the garden. Today I am bringing out the fall seedlings and getting them started to be hardened off out here in the garden so that they're ready to plant soon. We are really getting close to fall garden planting for me, at least the first round. Let me show you how it's all looking. I think this cucumber situation, its days are numbered. It's like, I mean, truly wild mass of cucumber plants, but not producing cucumbers. I had a couple people mention that maybe I have some nitrogen issues, like too much nitrogen in this raised bed, and so they're growing a lot of greens, but not putting off the actual fruit. Even though there are flowers on here, they're not putting off the female flowers. That may be the case. It may be a heat issue. I was originally worried that they weren't getting enough sun, but I don't think they would grow like this. If it didn't have enough sun, I don't think this would be happening. So maybe it's a heat issue, nitrogen issue, something else. They look gorgeous. I mean, the leaves look beautiful. The plant there's several plants. I mean, they're obviously thriving, but I'm gonna clear them out pretty soon here once these seedlings have adjusted and start planting out the fall garden right into this bed and a couple of other beds too. So that'll be good. It's time for this to come out, but I'll leave it for a couple more. I'm probably gonna we'll see how long I keep the seedlings in their trays. Maybe like a couple weeks, maybe a week, probably just a week. You know me, I always get impatient, and so I want to just plant everything out. I'm coming over here because, all right, these cucumbers don't look as good. The plants look terrible, but I actually have a cucumber harvest. So these plants along this fence line look pretty bad. They're not looking great, but look at this cucumber. This is a Chelsea Prize, and that is a pretty serious cucumber. I'm happy with that. I just struggle with cucumbers, but at least these ones are doing well. And those are the cucumbers that I'm actually going to pull once my tomatoes have rooted, and then I'm going to have hopefully a second fall succession of tomatoes along that fence line. That's the plan. So everything's like kind of in transition right now. So for the hardening off process, it's pretty simple. I just bring them outside and I'm going to keep them in the shade where it's nice and cool, or cooler anyways, and keep them well watered for a few days. And then slowly I'll start bringing them out into full sun for like an hour, then maybe a couple hours, until they can live in the full sun and in the shade. And I know that they're going to be okay, and they're not going to get shocked. If I went and planted those little seedlings that I've been under grow lights into this full sun and all this heat and everything, they would just they would collapse. That would be way too much. So I think I pushed everything as far as it could possibly go under the grow lights. I needed to start fertilizing these and everything, so I figured I'd just bring them down here so that I can take care of them in the garden, and then they'll start to adjust. It is warm out here. We are having days like in the high 80s. We've had some in the 90s, but I'm going to keep them in the shade for now. There's lettuces. We've got some kales, arugula, Swiss chard in here. This is actually some calendula. So I want to get everything out and adjusting. These are kind of my flat of like greens, and then I have another one. And this is all bigger stuff. Like I've got some collards, some giant red mustard. This one got a little leggy. The grow lights I had on this were better than this, and you can kind of see the difference. Like, they're not terrible. I'll plant them nice and deep when I plant them in, but I just need to get them like watered, fertilized, so that they can start really taking off and getting used to the temperatures. And then I'm going to start planting pretty soon. What I am going to do is give them a little dose of fertilizer. So I've just been using like this True Organic. It's just a basic all-purpose fertilizer. I'm just going to give them a little dose of that, not like a super like full strength, maybe like half strength. And I'm just going to pour it in here. These trays do not have holes in them, so they are good for bottom watering. I can just pour in the water with the fertilizer and they can soak that up. But one thing I do need to do is make sure that once they are done soaking up all of this fertilizer, I need to make sure that I take them out of the trays, because now that they're outside, we actually have a chance of a thunderstorm tonight. I've got another little tray of seedlings over here. And if you have your seedlings in trays like this and it rains, you're gonna have a flood, and that will kill all your seedlings. So if you are transitioning seedlings out into the real world and they're in trays that do not have water holes, drainage holes, and you've been bottom watering, you can bottom water them still, but then make sure you take them out of their trays once you're done watering, so that if you get a rainstorm or something like that, they don't all flood. I had that happen one time. I think there were like maybe 1 or 2 drain holes in the container, but not enough, and it rained and all of my seedlings just flooded. They just floated up to the top, and yeah, that was the end of them. It is so hot. I'm looking around right now. I don't know if you can see it, but everything is suffering. So I gotta go, while I'm here watering, I gotta go water everything in the garden real quick. Here's an update on my other fall seedlings. Give them a little bit of water too. They are doing well. As you can see, the basil is ready to be planted out. So I need to make some decisions. These are my ornamental peppers for my fall decor. I need to make some decisions on where all of these are going. My fall tomatoes here, I'm gonna stake these today. Yeah, I'm kind of waiting until I get a few things ready to go so I can do more like a big transition all at once. The heat that we have had in the garden the last few days has been wild, and it's not making it easy. Certainly doesn't make you feel like fall really, or think about fall, but it's been hard to keep up on the water. I've got the drip system running right now, so that's good. And I'm gonna try to kind of like clean things up a little bit out here. But even though it's warm and even though it's super hot, it is time to start this transition to fall. So this is good to get the seedlings out here, and hopefully by the end of the week, it's going to be a little bit cooler. I kind of made the calculated risk of just bringing them out here even though it's really hot, and keeping them in the shade, because I feel like they just need to get outside. They were starting to kind of hit that point. I don't have like the best grow light system. I couldn't just keep plants growing forever. So they were starting to hit that point where like they needed to get outside, and I just made the call that even though it's hot out still, I'm gonna bring them out here and get them started. This is my bed where I just took out the tomatoes, and so some of those plants are gonna get into that bed here soon in a minute. This wayward little pumpkin plant, it is just going all around everywhere. I guess I'm just gonna let it crawl back into this bed. It's kind of going wherever it wants. We'll see if it puts on any pumpkins, but it's kind of pretty, and it's growing in around the corn, so I feel like that's very well fall. But here's all the stakes. I gotta do some cleanup today. Seems like this is the constant process. I am always just making a mess and cleaning it up out here in the garden. But that's okay. Again, part of the transition to the next season. The other thing that I'm gonna get set up out here is another grow bag for the fall garden. So these are 15-gallon grow bags. I have them in my Amazon shop, which ones I got, but it's a really nice size. It's like this size here, where you can really grow some bigger plants and bigger things. And I want to do another one here for peas. I think what I'm actually going to do for the fall is take this trellis that has all the cucumbers on it, and I'm going to put it into the grow bag and hopefully grow some peas on it. That's kind of my plan at the moment. So in order to do that, I'm going to get this filled up. These are large. They take about 2 bags of potting soil, so I need to get some new potting soil for it. But in the meantime, I'm gonna get it set up, and I'm actually gonna take this cocoa core this is what I'm going to be using as bedding for my worm bin. I have like composting in a worm bin, and I like to use the coco coir sometimes for some extra bedding. It's not my favorite. It says potting soil. It is not my favorite potting soil to use to plant directly into because it is just all coco coir. When you buy potting mix, you know, a lot of the time you have also in there some other things like you know, little bits of fertilizer. There's different nutrients. Maybe there's worm castings or other kind of goodies for your plants to enjoy. The coco coir has nothing in it, and that makes it hard. Then you're just relying so much on your own fertilizing and everything in order for your plants to have enough food, and to me that is just too hard. I tried to start seedlings directly into coco coir and it just didn't work for me. I know myself, and I need a little bit more like just backup in the soil itself. So I'm gonna get it expanded into this container because it's a good just like space to do that, and then I'm going to transfer it into something else so that I can use it for bedding for the worms, and I'll put probably a couple bags of potting soil into this grow bag, and then I can do the peas in that grow bag, and that'll be perfect once that's ready. Again, right now I'm just sort of staging everything, getting everything planned out, getting everything ready to go, and then I'll be able to do like the big switch into fall. I'm also going to take down one of these hanging baskets. This is my upside down tomato basket. It's done. All those tomatoes are dead. So I'm going to take down some of that stuff. Again, just setting the stage so that when we're ready to really go full force into the fall garden, we can start doing that, and I don't have to be going through this whole process of taking everything down and apart. But let me line up my seedlings, get them organized. I'll show you where they're going to be living for the next couple days, and then we'll take this down and we'll set up the grow bag. Here's my little plant nursery, my little staging area in the shade. Nothing fancy, but as you can see, everything really needed to get kind of freed up. And even though they're a little spindly, some of those, I'm just going to plant them deep when I plant them, and I think they'll be okay. I've had decent luck with that working in the past. So I'll just plant them deep, and then these guys are totally fine because again, those grow lights were a little bit better. Take the last one out of this tray. I think there's, yeah, like this was supposed to be a cabbage. Okay, so that one's not going to be okay, but I planted some arugula in there too, so we'll put that in. I may end up buying a couple plant starts, like maybe a couple cabbages and a couple plant starts from the garden center, and that'll be great too. But I always like to start some of my own things, and like for greens like this, it's so easy to just start it yourself. I want to get them out of these trays too, because I actually think I might start a second round inside to go into the green stalk. So I'd love to get these all planted out and then do like another round inside and plant those into the green stalk and have even more things for fall. I think that would be all right. I'm just going to open up the grow bag here and get that started. There's nothing really fancy to that, and I will keep you posted as the fall garden continues. I'm going to be doing some raised bed amending and getting the soil ready and everything like that, but of course I had to get everything out here and hardening off to start with, and then we'll get planting. Hope you're having a wonderful day in your garden. I'll talk to you next one. Bye bye.